You want to break into cybersecurity in 2025? Well, I'm about to give you the roadmap. And trust me, you're going to want to do this because this is essentially the same thing that I did when I first got into the IT field. Now, everyone's situation might be a little bit different, but trust me, being able to obtain six figures in 2025 is definitely not a stretch by any means. The only caveat is that you're going to have to put in a little bit of work, but trust me, it will pay off and you can expect to get a job within 6 to 12 months. So the very first step, and this is what I highly recommend to people because I get this question asked me a lot. Nate, if I wanted to get in cybersecurity, what exactly do I need to do? Well, I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about what I did because I feel like that was a proper path that I did. Now, everyone's path is a little bit different, like I said earlier, but you can definitely do this in 2025 and, just make sure that you stick to it, stay consistent, and the hard work will definitely pay off for you. So the very first thing that I would do is to definitely learn the foundation. So before I got into the IT field, mind you, I didn't have a degree or anything like that. The only thing I had was the A+ certificate. And once I got that opened the doors for me to all sorts of jobs. I was getting hit up by recruiters constantly after I got that certification. And that just showed that, hey, CompTIA actually gave you the solid foundations in order to get into IT, and eventually I ended up getting into the cybersecurity field. So with A+, it teaches you a variety of different topics such as OSs, printers, Wi-Fi, networking, a little bit of security and things like that. This gives you a solid foundation, and trust me, CompTIA has already done the marketing, so this is a widely known cert. And if you go ahead and try to apply to companies and you go to the HR, that's basically a checkbox that, hey, you have met this. And HR is really not going to know. They just want to see that checkbox. So if you have that along with the soft skills such as communication, speaking clearly with people, presenting things well, and having good customer service and things like that, you are definitely set with the first step. After the A+, what I went ahead and did was learn Linux Plus, because once I got into my first job, the A+ did teach me a lot of things about Windows and everything else like that, but it didn't teach me Linux. So that was one thing that I wish that I had done before applying to my first job. So what I went ahead and did was get the Linux Plus from CompTIA, and that was really good. A+ gave me the strong foundation for a lot of the IT background. Then Linux Plus extremely helped me within my job because a lot of systems use Linux as well as Windows for their day-to-day operation. Then the other skill that I would learn, which this isn't like mandatory, especially if you're wanting to get into cybersecurity or any IT, like if you're getting into your first job, Python would be a really good thing to learn. But if you're just starting out, you necessarily don't need to do this step because you can definitely get a job without having to learn coding. And trust me, I did not like coding either, but I was able to break in without having to learn that skill right off the bat. So that, helped. But I would highly recommend this because if you're definitely wanting to break into the cybersecurity field, there are a lot of companies that are kind of looking for not super experienced coding, but just like basic and intermediate level type stuff. As long as you know how to like read the code and be able to make your own little script, you're pretty much golden there. The other thing that I would do within this step is you definitely want to create labs. So I didn't have a super fancy computer like I do right now behind me. What I had to do was basically I just had a crappy little laptop, and what I did was I installed Oracle VirtualBox. I just created different virtual machines. One was like Windows based, one was Linux based, and I just honed my skills from there. Just kept learning and doing that because if you want to break into the more technical side of things, you're definitely going to have to keep your tech skills up, especially if you're trying to break in initially. So with the first step, I would give this around 2 to 3 months to really build a solid foundation. So step 2, it would be the security. So you want to go ahead and look at the Security Plus, which is what I did after I got my Linux Plus. The Security Plus went into more of the security depths. They talked about the CIA triad, risk management, how to perform risk assessments, things like that. They taught you more about firewalls. They taught you about more network security and more networking security type equipment. I really enjoyed this one because it went a little bit more in depth than the A+ and the Linux Plus did in terms of security. So once I got the Security Plus, I was able to go from my normal IT, just help desk type job into a security position. And there are so many different types of security positions that you can go ahead and get into, but Security Plus is the very first step that I would highly recommend doing, because that is like the gold standard for entry-level security jobs. And with my first security job, right after I had gotten that, like, I want to say I worked in the IT help desk for about a year, and I could have gotten out of it quicker, but I probably would have been able to get out of that IT help desk within like 4 months. And then I broke into my cybersecurity job, and that's where I ended up making $90,000. And that was only second year in the IT field just in general. So my first job as an IT help desk, I made like 50,000, and then I jumped all the way up to 90,000. So you see like the big jump. After the Security Plus, that really helped me build my career field in cybersecurity, because I was like, okay, this is a field that I was interested in, but also the pay and things like that move very fast for me, and it can for you too, like most definitely. Now, the other thing that I would highly recommend looking into is the Google Cybersecurity certification as well, because they actually give you a really good solid foundation. So I recently just took this, and I wish I had something like this at the beginning, because it goes through all sorts of different courses. It goes through risk management, understanding networking, understanding the different types of security devices, the CIA triad, risk assessments, you name it. That is a really good too. So if you want to do either or, it would be good. The Google certificate, I will say, will help you study for the Security Plus. So if you want to go ahead and take the Google certificate course, which is only like $10 a month on the Google platform, you can go ahead and do that, and then that will prep you for Security Plus. So either way, if you want to go for one or the other, if you just want to go straight into Security Plus, you can go ahead and do that as well. But I really do highly recommend Google's cybersecurity course as well, just in case you want to go ahead and do it and get more steady time and practice time in there as well before you take the Security Plus certification. That is definitely a good choice as well. Now for step 3, it's definitely I would highly recommend learning networking. Networking is a big part, because if you're in cybersecurity, especially for me, depending on what type of role you get, if you get into cybersecurity engineering, cybersecurity analyst, you're gonna have to deal with networking at some point. Even if you do like governance, risk, and compliance, you're gonna have to be looking at network diagrams. So just as long as you understand how networks function, what a network diagram looks like, can you read data flows and things like that, I would highly recommend that as the first start. But for step 3, I would say that would take about a month. Step 2, it would take about maybe a month or so. You can definitely knock out security within a month. And step 1 will be about 2 to 3 months. So that's kind of like the time frame of when to expect to really get like a good solid foundation. So about 5 to 6 months of like hardcore studying, depending on what your work schedule is looking like. You can definitely get that done faster, or you could take a little bit longer to go ahead and understand the fundamentals and foundations of things before you get it. But I always like to tell people, get your foundations set, get some certifications, because you can definitely get into this career field without a degree whatsoever and attain that 6-figure salary. I've been doing this for about 9 years, and I definitely have to say that there were things that I wish I had done right off the bat, but that was okay because I was learning on my jobs anyways. But I wanted to go ahead and create this video for you guys just to see, like, hey, is this, what roadmap would I like to have done, and if there was anything that I could have done differently. And the real big thing was for me is that I wish I had learned a little bit more networking, and I wish the Google cybersecurity course was there. Those were probably the only 2 things that I would have wished that had been available to me when I was going through my career. But yes, getting into cybersecurity and any IT field is definitely desirable, especially if you have those certs. Those will give you a really good foundation and base knowledge to go ahead and get it. You can definitely break into this field. So I hope you like this video. Please make sure you like and subscribe and hit the bell icon, for notifications when the next video comes out. I'm trying to get as many people into the IT and cybersecurity field as much as possible, because there are going to be millions of jobs within 2030. The US Bureau of Labor and Statistics is expecting a 30% growth by 2030 for cybersecurity, and technology is always advancing and things like that. So if you're wanting to break into IT and cybersecurity, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys soon.